Did you guys know that we're almost a month away from Paldea Evolved? I was just looking at the calendar the other day, and I could not believe that we're a month away from pre-release. That's wild. But I want to recap Sword and Shield, the last couple sets. Make sure, check back on them. See if they're doing okay. Let's check and see the prices, see how they're holding up now that we're in Scarlet and Violet. Let's check it out. But first, we need to thank today's sponsor, us, Cardinal Gaming. If you go to the website, cardinalgaming.com, you can go and click on this link set here at the top. If you're looking for card singles, scroll a little further down, sealed product, not just for Pokemon, but for Flesh and Blood, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! All those things will be right here, including live breaks if you want to participate in those. Scroll a little bit further down. We have the big major events that we're doing, big 1Ks, including the one coming up for Pokemon on April the 15th. As soon as Scarlet and Violet is legal, we're running a big 1K event for that, so you don't want to miss that if you're local. And then a little bit further down, Cardinal merch. You got your hoodies, you got your playmats, and if you really love the Race Against Rotation series, you can buy your own little bulk lots right here, right off our website. CardinalGaming.com. Check it out. Hi guys, Mason here, Cardinal Gaming. Appreciate you clicking on the video, supporting the channel, supporting the store. You guys always do. I appreciate you. Yeah, wanted to go back and take a look at the past Sword and Shield sets and take a look at Scarlet and Violet, see how it's holding up, and really talk to you guys and just give you my thoughts about the market. It's kind of like a general market overview, but I saw something recently that kind of sent me into a fight or flight kind of response of like, oh, this is happening. But we'll get there. We'll talk about it. But for now, I wanted to do a recap of Scarlet and Violet just to see where we're at. We have the big bad Miriam that is, I had some gloom and doom aspects to this card, and I thought it was going to do 50, 45, keep going, and there's still a chance that it continues down. Let's take a look, though. Now, obviously, 220 was crazy. I remember, I know, just listen. I may have given away a pre-release kit, like the entire, 6 building battle, or the 10 building battles for this card whenever it was released. Look, we all make mistakes, right? I didn't know any better, and now this card is $65. But it seems like it has stabilized and leveled off here, so I think Miriam is in a good spot. I think it's a good price for this card. 65 feels right. 45 was like my doom and gloom scenario, but looks like people are very receptive, buying it. Still lots of buys at the $60-65 range. So I think we're about there where I have to worry about this card dropping any lower, and we are a month behind now on the set after its release. So it's looking like this is just the stable point for this. Again, the graphs don't look at the general shape of the graph and get alarmed. Again, all cards crash crazily right after release. This set was no different, and it is normal, and we'll see that in the other sets going back too. That we'll see that all these cards dropped off, even a lot. But yeah, 65 for this card. It feels good. Feels okay. I would probably like to see, for a ooh boy, we're really doing crazy things back in the before times, right? This is new rarities and things, but $100, 120 would be a little sweet spot for this card to be as common as it is, and sitting at 65, 60. That's okay. That's okay for what it is and everything that is involved in pulling this card. Not too bad of a pull and difficulty getting this card. So I like it at 60, 65. Looks good to me. I'll move on. Gardevoir EX, very, very playable card, very beautiful card. One of the big other hitters in the space set of Scarlet and Violet. Looks good. Again, let's flip the graph so it's not so dramatic. Again, nice and steady, nice and level. Looking right at $45. It's kind of where we're coasting at. If you want to sit at. And again, for an easy to pull card for this card, again, easy to pull. I'm sorry. For the higher echelon of cards that are desirable and wanted to be as common as they are, and holding at 40, 45, I think that's okay. So I like Guardy at 45. That's a nice little spot. And again, I thought this would have maybe been a 3-line in the Gardevoir decks, but a lot of Gardevoir decks are only playing 2 of these. So, uh, not as many people are needing them for the decks that are playing them if they want to max rarity their stuff. And this card at 45 is just fine. Yeah. You look at the Miraidon EX, another good meta card. Has been on a little bit of a skid. I love this card. This is probably my personal favorite card from the set. I just really like the colors on it. And Miraidon is pretty cool for a robot doggo. He's pretty cool. But again, legendary Pokemon sitting here at 40, 45 in that range. Again, can't complain too much. I think we're doing okay. Looking real good. Keep it moving though. The Koraidon EX. Another of the legendaries, but it's only sitting at 25. It's a good card. One of the more rare ones out of this set, the special illustration rares. I don't think it needs to be particularly more expensive, but it is interesting that from all the pull rate data and just my personal experience, this is the one I see and see people talking about the least. But it is a cool look card. It does look good. But yeah, it's almost half of the other rarity cards at this other cards at this rarity as far as price goes. So interesting thing to see. And then let's look at the boxes. The boxes have been holding pretty strong. I was surprised to see them holding at 25, 125 for so long. That they've dipped down to 113. I feel okay with that. I have them still in store for 140. Again, remember 165 is, or 162 is MSRP. So I don't hate this price, and this is definitely not a doomsday price for this box. No word of any sort of restocks or reprints of this stuff as far as getting from Pokemon distribution yet. We will probably see it, but for now, this box sitting at 115, it kind of just seems like it leveled out. And again, for a very weeks, we were sitting at 125. For people being so bearish on the pull rates of things and how easy it was to pull stuff, that it was hanging at that price was kind of a surprise. And we'll see what this continues to do. But at 115, I'm not too worried. And I also don't see it going to like $100 anytime soon. I think we're in a good little spot for people that want to pick up a booster box. All right, so let's move out of Scarlet and Violet. Let's go a little bit further back for Crown Zenith and look at how these cards faring. Again, Crown Zenith is a specialty set, long release window, right? We have still more products to release after this date of Scarlet and Violet, or of Crown Zenith products, and we may still see mini tins, 3-pack blisters still, ETBs. I'd love to get some more ETBs, even though people think like they're terribly priced. We'll look at that in a second. But I think right now, Crown Zenith is still a very desirable set, very fun set to open. A lot of people still have and enjoy opening the packs from it. Still feels good. I think for a long time, this pack and this set is going to be lots of fun to open for people that just want to open something and have a good time, because they know that they're going to get a good chance to get something out of a couple packs. So I think this is a great set that is very, very feel good and just awesome art in it, right? So we'll look at the Mewtwo V-Star. In the past 3 months, I at 3 months right now, has been trending downwards, of course, right? And again, it will probably go further down as we get the tail end of the release products again. I think the Shining Zacian Zamazenta boxes, they have like 11 packs in them, so I know another big, or maybe it's 9. I don't know how many, but a lot of packs still on the way to come out of these products. Still a lot of these packs out there floating around. I see people on Facebook all the time trying to sell, thousands of these packs. So it's definitely not a scarce product, but still, again, over time, I think this set, after it dries up and things are hard to find, people are going to want to go back and still enjoy opening the set. It's going to be something that people want to rip into the future as well. So Mewtwo is definitely still the premium card out of this one. Sitting at, market says 75, but I've seen sales, as you can see in the latest sales here and then on the side here, we're looking at 65, 68, somewhere in that range. So this card continuing to trend downward, and that's okay. I think this card sitting at somewhere like $60 is not unreasonable. I think it being at 100 was a little too much. Again, is anything particularly hard to hit out of Crown Zenith? Not really. Some of the gold cards I think are probably harder to hit, even maybe harder to hit than this card. But yeah, for a Mewtwo card, this holding at $75 to $60, looking good. Again, let's talk about these gold cards. Giratina still, I think, the most expensive of them all. Just, yeah, it is crazy looking art, and it looks really good. But again, look at the graph. On a skid downward. Hard to believe. It's almost still holding at $100 though. So as much as this product is getting ripped, and lots of good hits and gold cards are plentiful and stuff like that, this card continues to sit right below $100, and I think it just recently dipped down. You can see on the graph it kind of does a sharp little downturn there, but still, definitely the most playable, probably of these, the major hits out of Crown Zenith. Very desirable card still, very cool looking. Again, if you're gonna put this stuff in like a binder or something like that, if you put this card in, like arrange it so, the Giratina is definitely the one that kind of steals the show, that and the Arceus, but we'll look at that in a second too. But yeah, just a solid card, right? I mean, and one that when you open it, you look at it and you're like, oh wow, this is definitely something special. So I like these gold cards a lot. I think they're really, very cool, and all these cards are, again, as product kind of trickles out and we get our fill of Crown Zenith, I think that these cards will continue to trend downwards until we kind of hit a stable bottom before we start seeing any more movement upwards. It could take, maybe to the end of the year before we see that. But we got a lot of things that are coming up here very, very soon, so we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the Arceus. Yeah, stunning card, beautiful, right? Between the two, definitely, a card that when you open it actually takes your breath away. And if you look at the graph here, kind of rebounded a little bit, moved up to the opposite direction again. Downward pressure of cards being listed is kind of the general trend, as there's a lot of product on the market. The buy rate does not match the amount of cards that are being listed, and then the prices trend downward. This card maybe saw a little bump, or people thought it was too cheap, and bought a couple of copies of it to make it kind of move upwards in the upward direction. Hard to say. It's not much of a little bump, but it is noticeable, and definitely one that bucks the trend from most of the stuff from this set. So again, an interesting card to watch, and an interesting graph that kind of breaks the mold of the typical stuff that we've been seeing. Let's look at the ETB for Crown Zenith and see, again, as these waves are kind of coming out and hitting the market, we are currently in a little restock patch of Crown Zenith ETBs. I've seen them in big box stores. I've seen other LGSs able to get them. I haven't had any in stock in a plentiful amount in a long time, but there was some distro bundles and things that we were able to buy and really kind of move this price down when the supply is so high. So, but still, sitting at above $60, $62 is the market price. Of course, that's shipped on TCGPlayer. But again, pretty strong, pretty healthy. Again, desirability for this set. When people see it on my shelf, they tend to pick it up and want to buy it just because it is such a fun experience to open up. Again, Crown Zenith, I think, is going to do very well down the road, and I think a lot of people are going to want to be opening this set for a very long time. All right, move back a little bit further. Now, this is the card that made me want to do this video, because I was looking at this card, and I had one come back from PSA, and I was just comparing prices, the raw versus the graded card, and I saw this on the graph. I was like, ho. What's going on here? So it was kind of made me think and kind of backtrack a little bit. Altards, they don't go down in price. They're supposed to be desirable and wanted, and it's supposed to be so high in demand, right? The prices aren't supposed to go down. They only go up. Well, it went down. So that's that's what we're seeing. Not a huge amount, from the right below 190. So it was like 185 ish. Now it's down to 170. So is that a huge plummet? No. And again, some people are mixed on the Lugia V. I think it's a good looking card. Again, in person, I think it looks fantastic. Uh, but you know, uh, as this kind of like standalone Silver Tempest like big hit, it's got some big shoes to fill with as far as other sets around it, and the desirability of the one major card. Once you have it, it's in your collection and you can check the box. And then not a lot of these cards are I think moving around, and that's kind of the issue, is that there's just not a lot of buyers for this card at a particular moment, and that's why we're kind of seeing it in the downtrend as people just try to sell out these cards, and more come out of the market. You can see we have 102 listings of this card on there. So it's just a card that is seeing, I think, a glut of people wanting to sell it and not a lot of buyers at the moment. So that's probably the reason for this little downtrend. Again, Silver Tempest does not have a lot of great hits in it. It will probably age better as it comes and kind of gets more stuff playability wise, and maybe can work with it. But as far as like the Lugia V itself, I don't know if it has any more legs. I think Lugia V had its time in the sun as a playable deck, and we might be scaling it back a little bit. But it's hard to know. The meta is a fickle mistress to try to determine and figure out. So we could just be seeing a temporary little blip, and we might see it, rebound and go maybe in the other direction soon. We'll see. I did want to look at the other hits out of Silver Tempest. This is the Yugioh V. Again, a beautiful card in person, kind of slaps for real, not gonna lie, but not as favorable as the other alt arts. And as you can see on the 6-month skid, boy, it is just nothing but downwards momentum. Again, look at the we were just talking about Lugia at 102 of this list. This has 155 listed again. I just don't think that there's a lot of people buying this card right now, so it's pushing these prices down for this set. And again, good looking card. I like it in person. Again, it looks great, and the texturing on it looks great. But just I don't think it just doesn't have the buyers right now to maintain these kind of higher thresholds for these prices. Let's look at the unknown, faring much the same as the Yugioh. I don't think this card. People were talking about this card as being as a playable card, possibly, but I just don't know if it's ever going to see any action for real. I just don't know. It's going to be kind of hard to tell. But as the graph shows, it has been nothing but on a skid for a little ways. But let's look at the sealed product for Silver Tempest, the booster box for it, doing the opposite of what the cards are doing, which is always an interesting phenomenon to see. But again, this is the last holdout of the 144 MSRP booster boxes, that $399 price point that people are used to and accustomed to. So could be seeing some buoyancy because of that. But as you can see, as this has not had a reprint or any other stock in a booster box form for a little while now, we're kind of just seeing it just kind of naturally progress higher and higher. Again, look at this. 42 listings of sealed product for a set that is the second set of standard, just one back, and we only have 42 sellers of this stuff on TCGPlayer. That is until we see a reprint of this, so it kind of stabilizes, and if we see it at the same prices that we saw before, again, we saw with the Brilliant Stars restock that distribution was on 105, 110, 115 for Brilliant Stars booster boxes. If we get a reprint of Silver Tempest and this price stays inflated to this 135, 140, we may see this at distribution for 105, 110, 115. And we just, the margins aren't there for the prices to go down any. So it's going to be interesting to see. We will definitely see reprints of this set and at least more supply of it hit the market, but it's just kind of a guessing game as to when or how we'll get that reprint. So Silver Tempest is an interesting set. I am personally, this is my personal opinion, I'm not too jazzed on the set myself. I don't I am not a particularly huge fan of Lugia. I know a lot of people are, though. So, Silver Tempest is just a weird set that has a lot of interesting stuff going on with it. I'm a much bigger fan of the set before this one, which is Lost Origin. The big bad Giratina. I told you guys it was too cheap. I did a video saying that it was too cheap, and let me tell you, the card continues to just perform very, very well. Again, look again. The amount of listings for this card, 33 listed. Compare that to the 102 of Silver Tempest Lugia Altard. The card is very, very hard to find. The market is not flush with them. They are very scarce and hard to find on the market. And again, that is what is driving this price up. There are simply more buyers than there are sellers of this card. And it's just... I smile because I'm just like, this is a card that you see that does have hype behind it. But again, we are now 4 sets removed from Lost Origin, and the card continues to perform very well and stabilize at this $330 above $300 price point. And it's super just interesting to see this in a card that it looks like a big hitter. It looks like the pull from a set. And it almost makes me giddy to think that this card has the fundamentals, has everything that we saw on release. I was saying, man, this card is insane. And just continue to perform and see that same reaction from collectors and people that are wanting to get their hands on this card. Again, seeing sales for $330, $350, $300, and those are all 2 sales from today. But still, modern sales for a above $30 card that is moving several copies on a daily basis. Again, this card and the supply of it on TCGPlayer it's going to outpace the buyers from the sellers wanting to sell the stuff. So I just like the card. I really do. I like the set. So I'm glad it is performing well from a personal perspective. I have no investment in this. I just think it's cool. I just think it's neat. Look at the Aerodactyl V. Kind of an interesting graph on this one, right? Kind of saw a card that was $60, $70, $80 at release, trending downwards, and then Rev did his thing where he didn't pull it, and the card kind of had its own reaction for the time that Lost Origin has been out. And yeah, this graph is it's weird, right? Kind of wonky. Again, look at the amount of listings out there. 56, not a lot, but also not a little. But the card is still out there, and people are pulling it, and it is being listed and sold. But the market kind of rebounding on this card and thinking that it's maybe potentially still too cheap. It's kind of hard to tell. This graph is just not very telling, and it's this one's hard to decipher whether or not it's high, low, or it's in between. It's really hard to guess. There could be a little bit of manipulation out there happening. You see this 170 where most of these are selling at 180, or I'm sorry, 118 and 120. We'll see. We'll see if any of these are real or what's happening or what's going on. Sometimes it takes a couple days for that type of stuff to work itself out. So a card that kind of has its own story behind it, its own narrative. I would say inorganic type of demand or pressures that is pushing this price around. So it can be manipulated and kind of played with, and people can kind of mess with this card, I think, more so than something like a Giratina, where it'd be very difficult, because just for the price point as well, but just the amount of eyes that are on this card particularly, I think is helping it and hurting it in some ways. Let's keep pushing. Let's look at this Rotom V. Pokemon loves to push Rotom. There's always constantly a card of Rotom. Rotom is always in the games. Their cell phone is basically a Rotom, and they kind of really like to push Rotom and put a lot of emphasis on it. And this card is not particularly playable. Let's see some action in some decks, but yeah, I think this card is at $50. I'm sorry, 42. I was looking at the buy box, but 42 for the market price of this guy. Yeah, it's about okay. I think it may actually be a little high for what it is. But you can see there's sales for 34, 36 in here. So a little bit of a give and take, very similar to the Aerodactyl graph too, right? It's kind of interesting. Kind of, man, again, a very hard one to predict. Your guess is as good as mine whether or not it's accurately priced at $42 or not. But a card that can, again, as we get further and further away from Lost Origin, and if we see a reprint or not, is really going to dictate what these cards do. So as far as like speculating or trying to guess or trying to hold these for long term and just try to, pick a price point and grab one, maybe a little early to go off that, because this is not telling enough to get any sort of actual response or action that you can do something with. But we'll look at the Lost Origin booster box. Again, I like this set. I think it's really good. Lost Origin seems to be the clear kind of in the mix of the top three for Sword and Shield, just overall, right? I think the boxes are good. The variety of Pokemon, the flavor that it has is really good and really interesting. And I think it just has a lot going for it from outside looking in. The narrative of Lost Origin, I think, is really, really cool. You got Gardevoir, you got the Hisuian Zoroark, which is a cool Pokemon, the Giratina, not typically a big poster Pokemon for a set, but, you slap and make an insane card art with that alt-art of Giratina, and it's just, man, it's a good set. It's a rock-solid set. So I think this 160 price point for this guy, obviously high for what it is, being a set, again, only 4 sets old, but am I surprised? No, absolutely not. I think this box could be easily, if we don't see a reprint, continue to tick, and look at that dramatic little jump there. We are seeing some movements. Again, only 21 sellers of this booster box out there, and this could be easily, if we don't get a reprint of this, I can't imagine that we don't very soon, but if we don't get a reprint of this stuff, this booster box could easily be $200 by the end of the year, and kind of like the sky's the limit when you have a card that continues to rise and above $300, and you have a kind of like a bonus in the Aerodactyl above $100. All those things combined make this set super appealing for people that just want to crack packs and open things. I did want to look at some other things. That's kind of like the little wrap up of the past couple Sword and Shield sets, man. But I wanted to look at this Gengar VMAX Alt-Art again. That is the kind of the big boy out of Fusion Strike. Again, people talking about the big theft of Fusion Strike, kind of what that can do to the market and kind of how the market responds to that type of news. Being picked up on major news outlets at this point. Kind of a lot of people covering it. So it's kind of in the general knowledge, and you can kind of see where this card, it took a little hit at the right when it was kind of being talked about, and then it's been around for maybe a week and a half at this point, and kind of balanced off, but has rebounded a little bit. Interesting, right? I'm always fascinated to see the kind of influences that push card prices and the narrative that are behind certain cards. Of course, we saw the Gengar VMAX kind of front and center on that picture of just maybe 150 of them sitting there. So it's kind of wild to think that this card didn't see worse response from the market on that. Just seeing so many of them in one place, but I think the news that they were destroyed and taken off the market and didn't impact anything, I think is a good thing and good for the set and good long term for people that are maybe worried about it being in a weird spot or have some weird I want to say tainted kind of thought about Fusion Strike. And I think that the new story about the stolen cards kind of does put that kind of aura around the set, but the singles seem to be holding up okay against that kind of pressure from people that are maybe having some doubts or some weird thoughts about the set overall. All right, and then of course I couldn't do like a look at Sword and Shield without looking at the Moonbryon. Of course, let's look at it. Let's go. Let's just keep talking about it. Continues just to defy logic. Can just continue to climb. We're at 650 for a market price. As you can see, this one here, there's one that sold for 850, guys. It's insane. It's I've talked about this card so much. I've run out of descriptors to like narrate more of the story to people. Again, you're having things with pictures sell for 1,000 and 680, 850. That damaged one that was at 420.69 finally sold. So that was cool. That's good for that guy that was holding that line there. I've seen that on there forever for that damaged copy. So they finally sold it yesterday. Good for them. But yeah, just it's really kind of crazy to continue to see what this card does, and the graded cards continue to do well. Nines at auctions continue to do above 650, between 650 and $700. The 10 continues to be between 9 and 1,000. Yeah, it's a thing that exists and is part of the reality that we all live in, and that's something to think about. Let's look at the booster boxes. Very plateaued, like a very straight line, right at $400. The graph not so telling here, but across the whole here, since we haven't had a reprint, since we every day stray further and further from the possibility of a booster box reprint. Yeah, it's a set that kind of has its own again, the flavor, the aura, the story behind the set and the Moonbryon and everything that's happening with that continues to fuel the fire from this booster box that is almost 2 years old. It's at least a year and a half old. It's been fun to watch. Let me tell you, it's just been a fun, interesting one to watch. And again, booster boxes are selling. This is the 23rd today. Multiple sold today. Multiple sold yesterday. 420 saw a sale of a handful of them. So again, booster boxes that are moving, are exchanging hands. This is not just people just staunchly holding these booster boxes and not moving them on the price. These are actual sales that are actually moving. So just super interesting to watch. Man, we have been in this video for half an hour. Please tell me that you've watched this at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed, because a lot of information there, a lot of thoughts that I wanted to put out there for you guys. But hopefully it was entertaining. Hopefully it was good for you. If you learned anything, appreciate the like, appreciate the comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of how Sword and Shield is going to age and how it's going to continue to probably go crazy. But we'll see. You never know. We do have some cracks in the dam of the flood of demand for that, at least where Silver Tempest was. But let me know your thoughts. Let me see what you guys are thinking. I will be very happy reading the comments. I'll see you guys there. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. We'll see you. Bye.